Trucker Dump for November 17th, 2010, episode 57. Really? A good dispatcher?
Welcome to Trucker Dump, where you'll get one driver's insights and sometimes humorous views of truck driving and the trucking industry, and pretty much anything else he feels like dumping on you. This podcast is brought to you by AboutTruckDriving.com. Resources to help you understand the world of truck driving through the use of stories and a pathetic attempt at humor.
Hey there, folks. Todd McCann here. The subject of today's podcast is one that can either make or break your experience as a truck driver. Dispatchers. You can get a bad one and you want to bash your head against a brick wall every day. Get a good one and you might be able to return that AK-47 you just bought. So let's get on with a title that must have raised the eyebrows of every trucker. I called it, Really? A good dispatcher? Yes, I know that's a rather comical statement for us truckers, but hang on and I'll make my point. But first, let's start this out by explaining something to my non-trucking readers. You drivers can zone out there for a second, as if you weren't doing that already. When you drive a satellite-equipped truck, here's the way the dispatching process is supposed to work. 1, your satellite unit beeps at you. 2, if your company believes you to be incapable of reading a short message and hitting a few keys while you're driving, then you pull over. If they actually treat you like a professional, you can do the remaining steps while you drive. 3, you examine your load information, which includes a load number, the shipper and receiver, their addresses and sometimes phone numbers, the pickup and delivery times, possibly some fuel stop and or routing information, and any additional information you might need, such as pickup and delivery numbers, weights, piece counts, etc. 4, if everything you need is included in the message and you have the hours to run the load, you respond with a CAN message that says you got the load information and you accept the load. 5, you pick up and deliver on time. 6, you wait for the next beep. That's the way it works if you work for a normal company. Now, I swear I'm not going to start another wine fest, but I've got to explain what happened this morning to get to my point. I had set my PTA, that's projected time of availability, for 1 p.m., so naturally I get a beep at 10:30 a.m. I'm not exactly shocked about getting woke up. The message says to call in for a verbal. As long as I can remember, there have always been a need for verbal dispatches. Maybe the load is too complicated for a satellite message. Maybe it requires special instructions, like you have to go to a different location to weigh your empty tractor trailer before you go into the shipper. Maybe it's a high-value load. It could be a lot of different things. These loads are fine for verbals. They're actually appreciated because they shed light on a confusing situation. However, lately, nearly every load I get requires a verbal dispatch. I don't know why, and according to everyone else I talk to, they don't know either. Basically, everyone is just repeating something that someone else has already said, which just so happens to be the exact same information that's included in the satellite dispatch. Take this morning, for example. I call in and my dispatcher tells me where and when the load picks up and delivers, including the extra stop. She tells me to call another phone number. I call that number and the woman tells me the exact same information. Then that woman tells me that I need to call yet another number because there is 19 pounds of hazmat on board. That's hazardous materials for you normal folk. Okay, first off, 19 pounds isn't even a reportable quantity. It still has to be listed on the bill of lading, but it doesn't require any other special handling. Secondly, I've been hauling hazmat since 1997, so do I really need to be told to keep the papers in the side door or on the seat when I'm not in the vehicle? Thirdly, I've been woken up early and told to call 3 different people. Lastly, I think the stupid beep interrupted an especially interesting dream. I'm assuming that because I woke up grumpy, and frankly, that's just not like me. Unlike the evil overlord in the wrath of her mornings, I usually wake up in a decent mood. Not today. Which brings me back around to the point. Yes, finally. Hush. When I called the hazmat guy, I said these exact words. Hi, this is Truck 00 calling in for a hazmat verbal, because clearly I haven't learned how to do hazmat loads in the 13 years I've had my hazmat endorsement. Okay, I admit that it was dripping with sarcasm, but it was in no way said in a mean or violent tone. I'd be willing to bet that if he would have laughed, I would have too, but that was not to be. His response? You have a problem? I said, "Well, yes, this does seem a bit ridiculous, don't you think?" His reply? "I can always route you to a terminal if you'd like to turn your truck in." After a moment's pause of disbelief, I said, "Wow, this company sure has changed for the worse." Now, I realized that he didn't deserve my sarcasm, but I didn't deserve that kind of threat either. That's like giving your pal a friendly punch in the arm and getting a swift kick in the nuts in return. I think he realized that immediately because he started explaining that he had a job to do and that he didn't make the policies. I apologized for the sarcasm, but again explained to him that this kind of nitpicking does nothing to make us drivers feel like the professionals that they claim us to be. And now to my point. Yes, I know, it's about freaking time. You know, I'm fully aware that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. I just prefer to get from point A to point B like an alcoholic wastewood trying to walk a white line on cops. Bad boys, what you gonna do? Oh yeah, I think some point I promised not to sing anymore, didn't I? No, I retracted that, that's right. I immediately called my dispatcher to tell her what happened. I explained to her what I had said and how I'd said it. Knowing me fairly well, the sarcasm bit didn't surprise her much. Still, she said that the hazmat guy shouldn't have said that to me. She said she was going to turn him in, but I asked her to give the guy a break. Who knows what kind of day he was having, and our conversation had ended on a friendlier tone. I suppose my forgiving nature might have had something to do with some unnecessary sarcasm. Just maybe. After that, I went into a mini-rant about how things are changing at this company and where I thought the company was heading if they continue to treat experienced drivers like fourth graders. Although she'd heard similar rants from me before, she calmly listened, agreed with certain points, and disagreed with other points. By the end of it all, we were laughing as usual. And that, my friends, is the key and the point B at the other end of my oddly shaped line. Sure, a dispatcher needs to know what they're doing. They need to know the rules. They need to try to fight to get you pulled off the crappy loads. They need to try to get you home when you're requested. But that's not what makes a great dispatcher. First and foremost, they need to have the ability to listen, understand, and remain calm, even when you aren't. Some examples? Glad you asked. When the person on the other end of the line is having a hissy fit, they need to understand that life on the road isn't a picnic. The Bible says, "A soft answer turns away wrath." It's true. When she's calm, it always makes me calm. If a dispatcher gets combative back at you, it's only going to cause things to escalate. My dispatcher is always calm. Even when she's having a rough day, she always manages to stay cool with me. When you call to inquire why you only got 1,500 miles last week, they need to understand that you're not staying away from your family for weeks at a time just so you can sit at a truck stop while you wait on a load. Not to mention, poor miles make them look bad. My dispatcher comprehends this. When you call complaining about some company policy that you both know will never be changed, they need to realize that you just need to blow off some steam. My dispatcher always has an open ear. When you get woken up, causing you to cop an attitude at them or someone else, they need to understand that a trucker's schedule is as wonky as SpongeBob on a peyote vision quest. My dispatcher understands that I don't hold the same hours as she does. She always apologizes when she has to wake me up to pass down the holy orders from the trucking gods. Now, I fully understand that truckers haven't cornered the market on crappy days. I have no doubt that working in an office must really suck. I know the dispatchers have bad days too. But what a good dispatcher must realize is at the end of the day, they get to go home and relax while we're stuck in our truck waiting for the next beep and our next idiotic verbal dispatch. And we've still got a week and a half before we'll see our family again. So drivers everywhere, if you've got a good dispatcher, hang on to them. Tell them you appreciate the fact that they understand your life on the road. Maybe even get them a gift card for Christmas this year. If you've got a crappy dispatcher, ask for a new one. And if you can't seem to get rid of them, I'll be barreling down I-29 today. Just bring them out and shove them into my path. That ought to do the trick.
Hey, yo, bud, where do you want this load of feedback?
So, what do we got for feedback today? We got a lot of it, actually. These are responses to the podcast and blog called Funkin' Trunkin'. Well, it's still hard for me to say. I did a lot of editing in that podcast, I can tell you that. Tracy Lynn writes in and says, "Well, Todd, I'm not going to give you sympathy. Like you said, you have that covered. What I will say, however, is funk is a necessary evil. I won't point out what's going right in your life either because you're aware of those things also. You're going through growing pains. As bad as it feels at the time, it's worth it in the end. Think about it. Would you rather be going through this turmoil now or when you're 65? You're a young man, from my side of the fence, so it's good that you're not content with the way things are. If you just keep on going along to get along, one day you'll blink and you'll be 65. You still have the hunger, and I'm glad to hear it. I don't know how things will work out for you, but I do know they will work out. Keep that hunger, keep wanting more, keep striving. Don't settle. That way, when you're 65, you'll be happy knowing you fought even when it wasn't easy. That, my friend, is an accomplishment. P.S. You know I had tears from laughing at your comment." Thanks for the wise words, Tracy Lynn. Why is it so easy to dwell on the fact that I'll be nearly 50 years old by the time I'm out of school, but forget I'll still have 15 to 20 years to work after that? I guess it's just easy to focus on realities when they're slapping you across the face. You're right, though. When I'm 65, I'll probably look back on this and laugh. Either that or it'll be because I just farted with every step as I walked across the room. Farts are funny like that. As for my comment making you tear up with laughter, I'm not sure which one you meant. Just know that you guys did the impossible for me today. In the midst of a funk, I actually laughed out loud. Wow, a real LOL. Thanks. Darkstaff, this is the first of his comments, says, "This is the first I've read your blog. The things you've stated, well, it brings even more understanding to your recent vacation from the social networking cybersphere. Just wanted to let you know you have a kindred spirit here. There's a strange dissatisfaction amongst the populace. Some deal with it, others whine, some make changes, while the rest of us, I put you and I in this group, just sit here scratching our heads going, What? What happened? What is happening? By that, allow me to attempt an explanation. Tell me if you find yourself driving along, quite often thinking along the lines of, what am I doing? Where's my life heading? Is what I'm doing the right thing? I do. Well, I do too, Darkstaff. I have no answers to this underlying unease we're feeling. I plan and factor constantly to change the path I'm on to steer myself in a satisfactory direction. Alas, my rudder is broken. I too want a miracle to enlighten me. For that one person to come along and give me that opportunity. Or to finally win something in the lottery. Or just for once to have the stars align and have things fall into place without a Herculean effort and sacrifice on my part. Instead, in the name of the Phoenix, I find myself in ashes, attempting to rise into glory once again. I feel your funk. If it was one small thing at a time, I could handle it, but it seems it's a tidal wave of unending origin that constantly barrages us with multiple problems, and they add up to a giant headache and a sense of why do I even bother anymore? Personally, I keep going. For some reason, I feel like the universe will eventually realign itself and things will go better. I take the steps I believe are necessary to succeed and just keep trying. One way or another, I will be happy, even if it kills me. Keep on trucking, brother. Someday, either it'll all make sense or the lights will go out for good. Peace and funk the haters." Well said, man. Nice writing style, too. Really enjoyed it. One difference from you is that I never ask myself if what I'm doing is the right thing. At least not when it comes to trucking. I know trucking isn't where I want or need to be. It's served me well for many years, but its time has passed. I see nothing but crap, heartaches, and unreasonable rules in the future of the trucking industry. It's time to bow out. I'm just biding my time. Thanks for stopping by and leaving such a great comment. If you got a blog of your own or anything else you do, feel free to leave your information along with your comment. Hammer down, my friend. And that goes for the rest of you, too. If you've got something you want to promote, well, leave it in the comments. I don't mind having a link in there as long as it's not some stupid spam crap. Darkstaff wrote me back, quoting me, saying, "I know trucking isn't where I want or need to be. It's served me well for many years, but its time has passed. I see nothing but crap, heartaches, and unreasonable rules in the future of the trucking industry. It's time to bow out. I'm just biding my time." He says, "This is exactly where I found myself. The plans are in place, the money's being saved, the car and bill paying occupation are being researched. I've become a dead cog out here on the road. Where I once found awe and wonder, I now find dreariness and repetitive boredom." Boy, I know that feeling. I haven't been fishing in almost 4 years. My meditation is in making walking sticks. Again, it's been almost 4 years since I've experienced the peace from carving wood. I've lost yet another marriage to the road, number 2, number last. I have my dog, Coco. For that, I am grateful. He's the one keeping me human. For both of us, getting off the road will be of great benefit. I'll regain some semblance of a life. He'll have room to roam. The difficulties of him, 88 pounds, and myself living in a broom closet will be over. Absolutely, I will have other problems. I will have new hurdles to leap, but I will have the downtime to which to gather my thoughts and relax enough to see clearly through those problems. My goal is for sometime around July of next year, with no hard out, so an earlier or later date won't be an issue. I love trucking, but in your words, I echo, its time has passed. To both of us, here's to a future. And thank you for your good words. I've just started a Tumblr account at darkstaff.tumblr.com, but have yet to do anything serious with it. Soon. Well, you folks can go over there and check him out. He takes pictures and stuff, some pretty darn good ones, so go check it out. I'll put a link to his Tumblr page in the show notes. And I wrote him back, man, trucking is hard on marriages, isn't it? I've been out here for 13 years, about 3 of those years without the evil overlord, total on and off, and we managed to keep it together. It probably helps that she's lived the life and knows what I deal with every day. Glad to hear you have a plan in place. I've got one too. My goal is to be out by the fall semester next year. Finances will make the final decision on that. Although I do play golf to relax, it isn't the relaxation that the road deprives me of. It's the relationships. Sure, I've had the evil overlord with me most of the time, but I haven't had a true, real-life friend since I started trucking. That may sound a bit sappy, but that's what I miss the most, hanging out with friends. My old friend Andrea wrote in one line. It said, "You really need to teach," to which I replied, "An old dog new tricks?" Heidi wrote in and says, "All I can say is, funk happens. The good news is, I think you could sell your short stories. Hey, you wouldn't have to go to school full-time after all, maybe just a few classes. Have you ever submitted everywhere? You have a real niche and a gift for writing. I would not go to school if your heart isn't in it. What's the guarantees anyway? Oops, I hope I'm not piling on extra funk here." And she says, "P.S. Say hey to the EO for me." That's the evil overlord. Well, Heidi, I'll be sure to say hey to the evil overlord for you. I've never tried to submit any of my articles. Perhaps that's not a bad idea. Couldn't hurt, I guess. It's not like I'm already used to being told no. No, you can't go home when you want to. No, you can't have a full 48 hours off. No, you can't cook in your truck. No, you can't run paper logs. And then there's always, "No, I've got a headache." That last one doesn't come from my company. And finally, to wrap this puppy up, Dean0806 wrote in and said, "No sympathy here. Although I'm definitely glad you can still see your lightsaber." That's always a good sign. I think I speak for everyone when I say it's our pleasure to make you laugh. Short story. My wife went to school, earned a few degrees, including her master's in biology. Planned on being a doctor. That's what her dad always wanted for her. She struggled and disliked every minute. She met me. I talked her into quitting before she wasted any more time. She did. She sent many resumes and went on many job interviews. I told her to take her time and decide on something she really wanted to do. After 3 years of researching and praying, she decided to become a paralegal. Over 2 of those years, she rode with me over the road. Cool. She looked forward to every class. It wasn't hard for her because she enjoyed it so much. She graduated first in her class and with honors. She's currently waiting to take the CLA-CP test to get certified. It's only given twice a year. Try as she may, she couldn't get a single job with a degree that she didn't even enjoy getting. Now she gets flooded with job offers all the time. She can choose who she works for. The point I'm trying to make is, do what you enjoy. The money will follow. I understand the bills need to get paid. I gave her the opportunity to take her time and do it right while I worked. We just cut out some unnecessary bills and live below our paycheck. As soon as she gets certified and starts working, then it's my turn. Trucking has lost its luster to me. I haven't really enjoyed it for 3 to 4 years now. It has become a job, whereas it used to be an adventure. My opinion, figure out who should go first. One work while the other gets set, then switch places. Good luck to you and the evil overlord. Well, thanks for the excellent comment, Dean Vader. By the way, I call him Dean Vader because he was on E-Logs first and he's trying to bring me to the dark side. Anyway, Dean, I'm not sure I agree with all your sentiments. For instance, I've said numerous times that if I could find a local truck driving job that paid a decent wage, I'd just continue to be a trucker. It's not that I truly love it, but I don't hate it either, except for the over-the-road part of it. Unfortunately, those local jobs don't pay squat, especially in the smaller metro area where I live. You and IROC Babe should know that. You guys have been tweeting about lousy paying local trucking jobs, and you two live in the Dallas area. Also, you said, do what you enjoy. Again, that sounds great. You just tell me what I enjoy and I'll be glad to do it. You see, it's hard to discover new interests when you're staring through a windshield for 13 plus years with very little time off. I'm hoping and praying that something at school sparks my interest while I'm still taking my basic courses. I think that it's pretty much impossible for me to develop an interest in anything while I'm cooped up in this cab, and that's why I'm trying to get out of trucking. I also like your idea of taking turns at school. That was the original plan, but I soon realized I'd be well over 50 years old by the time she went through school, and then I followed. That's why I said in my post that time was an issue. If you're a young buck, you've got nothing but time. But I'm an old fart who's only getting older and fartier. Sure, 50 isn't ancient, but it's a lot older than I'd like to be when I start a new career. Well, thanks to everybody who poured out their heart and soul in this one. It sounds like I'm not the only lost puppy out here. So thanks for writing in. If you've got questions or comments or anything else, here's how to get a hold of me. So, truckers, am I right or am I right? Well, I know I'm right about this one. But is there something more that makes a good dispatcher? Please don't say a bullet makes the best dispatcher, even though I've met some where that just might be true. Tell us your experiences and thoughts about dispatchers by typing dispatchers into the search bar at abouttruckdriving.com, finding the post, and leaving a comment. If that seems like too much work, shoot me an email at truckerdump@gmail.com or holler at me on Twitter where I'm at Todd McCann. That's 2 D's, 2 C's, and 2 N's. And if you still haven't subscribed to this podcast or the written blog, please consider doing so. Thanks. So until next time, drive safe and stay out of my way.